What's up, Bombshells? Welcome to Bombshell 1111 Podcast, Therapy for Women of Color. My name is Kia, and I'm your host. Generally, podcasts request donations, but I want you to show love by simply subscribing to my social media platforms by visiting my website at www.bombshell1111podcast.com. I want to see thousands of subscribers on this platform. Leave your comments and I'll show love by shouting you out on my social media platforms such as Instagram and Facebook. I want to thank you for your continued support as always. And with that being said, let's jump into this new episode.
Hello everyone. My name is Samary and I'm here to drop Bombshell 1111.
Welcome back, you guys, to Bombshell 1111 Podcast. I'm Kia and I'm your host. Tonight, you guys will be talking about business development with our special guest, Samary. So, you guys, let's jump right into it. Welcome, Samary. How are you?
I'm well, Kia. Me.
Thank you for coming on and being a part of the podcast. As I told you before, I'm looking forward to you sharing your knowledge and tools tonight. And again, I appreciate you for coming on and being a part of the podcast, Samary.
Thank you.
So, Samary, let's just go ahead and jump right in. So I have your bio down below in the description box, but I always feel as if it's always better for the guests to do a short description of who they are, what they do, because who can say it better than themselves? So start off with telling us a short description of who you are and where you're from, what you do.
Awesome. Okay. So I am a mom, a wife, and a serial entrepreneur. My past career used to be a psychotherapist, and we were unexpectedly expecting twins, and that kind of shifted my and what I am now and what I'm doing right now in being a small business. Also putting forward, different multiple streams of income. Super big on community and just giving back. So that has a big part of what I continue to do in the work that I do out here in the world.
Oh, psychotherapy. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. How long did you do psychotherapy for?
I did that for over 10 years.
10 years. Wow.
Yeah.
That can be very challenging within itself. I work in the mental health field, so I definitely know. I did a little bit of therapy, but it can be overwhelming, especially because you're dealing with people and their issues. And when you have things going on in your own life, it can be very overwhelming.
Yes, it can. I tell you to keep, the work is the work, right? But it's really hard work. And, I feel like we bring a lot of that home, or just with us, right? We carry that with us. Right.
So again, Samary, you are a woman of multiple hats, as you just stated. And for the purposes of tonight's podcast, we wanted to focus on your expertise in business development. So for those who don't quite have an understanding of the definition of what business development is, just in your own definition, your own expertise from experience, what is business development, Samary?
So business development can include a couple of different things, right? It can mean starting a business from the ground up, right? Creating an idea, having an idea, and putting it into motion. And it also can mean having a business and just bringing it to the next level, right? Sometimes you have a small business and you want to bring it to the next level. So how do we do that? How do we go about that? What things need to be in place to help us grow, right? So it all of that, including finances, right? So sometimes we want to grow our business, but we don't know exactly what we need to pay for or what systems we need to create to happen.
Oh, wow. You answered the question really well, Samary. You go, girl, because that's kind of like a synopsis of all the questions that I have for you. So you did a great way of leading into my next question. So So, a lot of business owners, they all, like they have the idea of wanting to start a business, but when it comes to structuring that business and not knowing how to properly do so, can you give us a little bit of background information on how to properly form a company? I mean, you have so many different forms, such as, the C corporation, the S corporation, LLC, sole proprietorship. What is the best way and safest way to start off as a small business owner?
So I think your first bet, if you don't know any better where you're going to grow your company, right? It's an idea. It's kind of a hobby, create and make bigger and see what happens. I think an LLC is the that could start. That's also affordable. However, if you have already and you're like, what? I know that I want to have employees. I know that I want to have like a physical store next, 2 years or whatever that plan is. I would highly suggest always, contact an attorney in your area. And there's services like Legal Shield, and different other services. There's like, and I'm forgetting a couple right now. And there's other companies like, basically you pay a subscription and you can really tap into the attorneys for a very, your subscription price, right? You don't have to pay additionally. So it's super affordable, and it's a quick way to have them just guide you a little more and say like, what, I see your vision and I know what you're doing. So let tell you like how to make that happen,
Yeah. And Samary, in business, does it matter if one has primary competitors in that particular industry? Is that really a thing?
So you should know your competitors and your market. However, I do not feel like, I always say you should not be intimidated by that. I know there's a meme out there that you can see that's always been circulated like in Facebook world, that you can see down the aisle, right? And it says whenever you're second guessing or like feeling that there's too many people in the same field or saturated market, just walk down the bread aisle. And there's like hundreds of different brands, right? And they're all in business, they're all selling, there's different type of breads and different type of like, this and that and calories. So it's the same thing, right? You can all provide, you can have 100 business owners that are providing similar. Everyone is doing it differently, right? You're catering to your clients in a different way. Your product might be different, the way that you talk to them, the way that you handle that. So don't ever feel like it's so oversaturated. Just know and be confident in what you're offering, and just do study your market, right? And know like what's going on around. So don't be surprised by like, hey, if you're opening like a hair salon, like it might not always be the easiest to put it like right next door to another one that already is there, but maybe you can put it half a mile down, like, and still be profitable and make it happen.
And speaking of market and marketing, how does marketing play a role in business development? And what makes a successful marketing strategy, Samary?
Oh my gosh. The number one thing, right?
Yeah.
After how you're launching, like after you kind of figure out like what you need to get started, right? Some businesses you might need like $200, some you might not need like a lot at all, however it goes. To be your next thing on that, because how you market yourself, your service, your business, your brand is everything. People are going to, right? They're going to trust you. They're going to ready let in their mind, like, do they want to do business with you by just seeing what they're seeing, whether it's on social media, Instagram, or by your website, or the ads that you may be paying, like, and if you do a billboard, or if you just, a sign, however you choose to market. And there's a lot of, I always say like free ways to market if you do like your product or services, but there's like fairs and different things like that. So just know that having a marketing plan is super important. Right now, I think that the best thing is social media, because I even do it. If I want to do business with somebody, I check their social media first. So I think most people go that route, and they just like, before I even check their website, I'm like, let me see what they're posting on Instagram or on Facebook. I'm like, this is somebody I want to do business with. So
it's true though. It's true because you always want to surround yourself with people who are doing better than you. That's what most statistics say. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely agree. So, Samary, when you're looking at success after having a business, how do you define success after, the first year of being in business?
I think success is it could be such a broad definition, right? Because it really depends on what that means to you, right? If somebody's like, I'm successful because all I wanted to do was make one sale a month, right? Like that's your success. If that is what you accomplished that year and you made one sale a month and that you sustain that, great. However, I think if you want to grow your business, if you want to make this, like as your primary source of income, or, just maybe a side hustle, it really just boils down to like what you're doing, right? Like, and then also seeing like, I always recommend like looking and assessing where your business is 6 months in and a year in, right? Especially if you just started it, like how much money you're spending and how much money you're bringing in. Statistically, they say that most businesses do not start making a full profit until maybe year 4 or 5. However, I do think that there are plenty of businesses that can be profitable way before.
Yeah.
So you just have to kind of like assess what that is. And I'm like, your first goal, no matter what, is to cover your expenses, right?
Yeah.
So you're in your own pocket for, to sustain your business. And then your second goal, of course, is to make money and then create goals based on that.
And Samary, what just from your experience with working with clients, what are 2 of the biggest challenges that business have starting?
Really, because I think that often people, right, and they are just, I think I'm really, really big on leading with service, and like that's gonna open so many doors for you, right? Because when you think about the dollar sign first, so many people start like, I want to make, I want to make 20 grand a month, etc. And like, that is a great goal, like absolutely you should strive to do that. However, you can't always think like, however you're servicing your client, whether it's with a product or service, like really treat them for that, like provide that for them, and not just think of like, oh, I have to see $150 from each client, or whatever that is really like leading with service. So the part and like being able to lead with service is such a struggle often, just because everybody wants to make money and everybody kind of see other people doing it or that have done it, and like they're like, oh, they're so successful, right? That comparison all the time. And it's just like, listen, you don't know what they went through or like what resources. We often see the other side of things, right? Like we see not everyone's going to share their struggle challenges. So I'm like, let's focus on what you're doing, how you're building it, and your only competition is yourself. It's nobody else out there, It's like it's you against you. Like you want to do better than what you did yesterday or like a year ago or even like 5 years ago.
Yeah, and you're going again, leading right into the next segue perfectly. Let's talk about funding and money. How you've already stated several times, but let's just resurface this again. Funding, how important is that in a business?
I think it's good to know what you need to get started and to sustain your business for at least a year on your own, right? Because again, the goal is to make money as quickly as possible. However, you have to plan for, you're gonna have to tweak things in your business, and sometimes like it might be marketing, it might be your product, it might be your service, how you're communicating, whatever that might be. So just being ready, like, and having enough in your own personal like do that. You can always also look for investors, right? Depending on what type of business you're doing, whether it's real estate or if you're looking for another type of brick and mortar business, there's a lot of small business like grants through like different city organizations, towns, like you just have to I would highly recommend to always look at the SBA, other type of like, especially for women. There is a lot of resources out here for women, and women we can get a lot more things too, right? Like sometimes we can qualify for different, we just have to know, like, how to apply, how to make that happen. It's not always advertised, right? So sometimes we have to do some
a lot
find
of
out that information, which is unfortunate because it shouldn't be that hard, but it is out there. There is a lot of programs. There's a lot of grants that are there for us and to help us, start up businesses, like, or to grow, right? Like if you're already in a certain place, to grow your business in a different area. So just get familiar with that. If you're starting brand, definitely plan for, at least a year. I personally would say maybe some people would say 6 months. I would say at least a year, just so you like can get your, know what you're doing and like know your basic costs, right? So if you're running an online business, shipping or something like that, what is it going to cost for you to like, keep your website up and like, pay up front for like XYZ, like, and drop ship it, etc. So like just create a budget, right? The budget's going to change often, but you just want to like have a base.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything that you said. Everything, because I went through there in every way that you can imagine. So definitely agree with what you're saying. And then you guys, I do have some free resources that I'll leave down below in the description box. And Samary, you did talk about one of those, which was the SBA. They do have a lot of free resources available for small business owners, especially minority women, like you said. So yeah, definitely agree with that. So let's talk a little bit about specifically about what you do and the services that you provide. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So like I said, I was before in therapy world, mental health. But now I transition into, I mainly focus on real estate, and I also coach women to help them start their own real estate business or other businesses in general. Like I said, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I love business, really. Like you can talk to me about any business, and like I always make fun like of my friends sometimes because they'll tell me like an idea or something they like, and I'm like, why are you not doing this business? Like I'm like, I don't understand, what are you doing? You're sitting here not doing it. Like, don't complain, you're not out here trying to get it, like right. I don't understand. So because of that, I'm super big on like just helping others, create their own, whether it's their business. And again, real estate itself is a very male dominated industry. So because my husband was in the business before I into it, again, like just because of his nature, but I took and multiplied it and made it much bigger because I really fell in love with him. So I now get to like really teach that and show women, because again, a lot of women are intimidated by like in the real estate world, right? Like who wants to be a landlord? Who wants to do a flip, right? I has walked into flips and like the contractor's there, my husband's not coming, and they're like, oh, is your husband coming? No, my husband's not coming. It's just me. Like right. I can make decisions. Like that's not it. So I take pride in that, and I really help other women do this and show them like that you don't need. I think often the misconception is that I need like $100,000 or I need all this extra money to make sure that I can actually invest in real estate. And it's like, really, you don't. Like there's so many different ways and creative strategies that you can make that happen and start your own business in real estate that,
so then let's just, before we end the podcast tonight, let's touch on real estate investment a little bit. For the listeners who don't have knowledge of exactly what that is, can you just define for us exactly what that is and what that entails?
Absolutely. So real estate as a whole, when you think of a real estate business, I thought this myself. I thought was a flipper or a landlord or a realtor, right? So if somebody told me they were in real estate, those were the top three things that would come to my mind. However, in real estate, there is so many different opportunities. So people who own short-term rentals like Airbnbs, right? Or VRBOs, people who have multi-units or have apartment buildings or commercial properties, right? So we can all own these different type of properties. We can rent it. We can collect rent. We can rent out to people who are traveling in other places and do short-term rentals or housing, right? I've worked with clients who don't want to be so hands-on as like, dealing with tenants and doing a flip themselves. However, they are willing to lend money, and often you can lend money as a private lender to other, projects that you're not fully hands-on in, but you can get a great return, better than sitting in your 401k or in your in your bank account collecting like 0.2% or whatever the bank is paying for savings right now. So there's so many different creative opportunities and that you can get a return from, right? And you can make it a whole business, right? So if you can make passive income with it or do a flip and use other people's money and cash out, each flip at $20,000, $30,000. You're doing this, over and over again and creating income, right? You don't have to, or a side income, right? You don't have to make it as your full-time income.
And how does one get started with particularly real estate investing?
It really just depends what interests you, right? So you have to kind of and if that interests you, so a lot of people are like the hospitality business, right? So they're Airbnb, short-term rental type of vibe really fits them, right? There's people who house hack, that you might have a property, right? And you have right, and people rent it out, right? Or you rent it out to a local or something like that. So it really is with what your current resources are, what you currently have. Some people have their houses, or that have that they don't really know what to do with them, and not realizing that you can flip it and make some money off of it, or however you want to do. So it's just assessing what you currently have, right? And what you want to do with it, and how much work you want to put into it, as far as time goes, because it does require some research and in a row.
And if one wanted to get connected with you to get started in doing so, what is the first step?
Absolutely. So my website is www.samary, Mary, Polnett, POLNETT.com. And you can contact me through there. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. So on Instagram, it's Samary, Samary, Polnett, Polnett, and I'm on Facebook as well, so you can definitely send me a message on any other platforms, or an email, and I'll get it.
And Samary, before we head out for tonight, I also wanted to touch on one other thing.
Yeah.
Even though we're talking about business development and real estate investment, the platform focuses on mental health and personal development. And I know that you are the nonprofit founder of Beauty Is You, Inc. Can you talk a little bit about that, and exactly what is that organization consist of? What is
Absolutely. That's my baby. No. So Beauty Is You was created actually now over 10 years ago. I cannot believe this, but it really was birthed from, I was a school counselor before I went into full-time one-on-one therapy. And while I was doing that, I was working in an inner city school, and it was very sad for me to see and I was so I'm gonna say just upset about how see themselves, right? They felt like they didn't really have a lot of role models in their lives. Their self-esteem was very low, whether it was just for how they look, or where their future was heading. So I really wanted to create a space and a place for people, teens, to see and connect with other community role models, right? Because often they see role models as people who are on TV or social media, right? TikTok, all of this other platforms that are not always, they're not always the real role models that they don't see that hey, someone is doing amazing things, right? There's doctors, there's lawyers, people who run nonprofits, who own 10 beauty salons or something like that, all these different things. These are also people who are role models that you can actually talk to, and not just watch on these platforms. So I wanted to bring that and really connect the girls with a lot of community leaders, more women, that are doing great things, businesses, education, etc. And that's what we did. So we would create a mentorship program and everything. COVID hit, so things kind of paused a little bit. Be relaunching more in person and offering the same thing, because it's always been super amazing just to bring everyone together and just have a healing time, and just showing them hey, invite the moms or caretakers of the girls who participate too, so they can also, a lot of women just seeing the good in themselves and those around them. They might not even have their own role models, right? So how can they teach their daughters or nieces or granddaughters how to do this if they can't do it for themselves?
Right, I agree. And is there a specific age group to be a part of the
No, so we were doing, we focus on ages 11 and up, so middle school age, really, like fifth grade to high school. But we were also targeting and meeting with college students, right, to help them, like a lot of, again, transition into college and beyond, and still have all of this with us. We're carrying this baggage. So it was more of like a healing type of place that you can talk about things like this. You can be open and not feel judged, and that's the space we wanted to create for everyone.
And do you have to participate in person? Is this offered online as well?
We were doing mostly in person. That's why we paused when COVID hit and everything else. So I think when we fully bring it back, we're going to offer both, to do both in person and online. We want to create more spaces like this, but then also be able to help women, right, do things that they never think that they could do, right, like careers wise, etc. I always like to share about different paths that people can take that don't necessarily have to be like the traditional ones all the time, and still be profitable. And
yeah, agree. Wow. Well, I want to leave a few minutes so that you, again, can leave the listening audience with the information for your social media platforms to get connected to you, to Samary. So can you once again, please let us know how to get connected to you on social medias?
Absolutely. My website is www.samary, SAMARY, Polnet, POLNET.com. And you can also find me on Instagram and Facebook. It's spelled the same way, Samary Polnet. I check my messages all the time, so feel free to message. Unfortunately, fortunately, right? Like,
right. That's a good thing. That's a great thing. Well, that's a great thing, Samary.
I know. So you can definitely hit me up. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Point you if I don't know the answer to something. I like to say that I'm a connector, right? I like to help others solve and figure it out. So if I don't know the answer, I can definitely point you in the direction of someone who may.
Thank you so much for that. And Samary, is there anything you feel that I missed that you'd like to share with the listening audience?
No, I'm super thankful to be here and grateful for this opportunity. So,
thank you, girl.
Thank you.
I want to thank you so much, Samary, for coming on and being a part of the podcast. I love your energy, and you are so knowledgeable in so many different areas. And I think that's just so dope for a woman of color to have that much knowledge. You go, girl. Again, I thank you so much for coming on and sharing that with us. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So you guys, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thanks to Samary for joining. We hope that you were able to hear something that was beneficial to you tonight. And with that being said, thanks for listening. And always remember, you are a bomb within your own shell. Peace, love, and light, you guys. Until next time, good night. If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure you subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted. Rate, review, and share this podcast with your family and friends. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you're leaving with some valuable information that can help you on your personal journey. Also, check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Bombshell1111 or at Bombshell1111 TV. You can also check out our mental health page, Your Health is Your Wealth, on Facebook, which is a page created to inform and support individuals with mental health and other health conditions. And with that being said, always remember, you guys, you are a bomb within your own shell. And until next time, peace, love, and light.